So the topics for today, we're going to talk more about data processing, and we're going to see how we can visualize data using plots in Python. And so we're only going to focus on bar charts and pie charts. We're going to learn how to plot that data. Then we're going to do some live coding. Together, we're going to plot some categories for a company. And we're going to be using the tech diversity data set. And then we have a challenge at the end for breakout rooms if there's time, where you'll be writing a function to plot categories across companies. So let's talk a little bit about plotting. And for plotting, we want to be able to, for example, this is just an example using our data, our tech diversity data. We have some kind of graph, right? And on the x-axis, maybe we want to know, how many Black people are in a particular company, then maybe how many Hispanic, how many white people, how many Asian people, and then anything that doesn't fit in those categories, we'll call those others. And so we have that data set that can help us track that, right? And we want to plot something from these categories. And so, for example, let's say that Hispanic people for this particular company, let's say, Black people for this particular company, let's say they make up 4%. And then Hispanic people make up 6% of the employees at this company. And then white people, we saw the major imbalances in some of the tech companies, like 50% white, and then maybe 30% Asian, and then other, if you add all that up, you get like 3% of other, so Pacific Islanders or Native Americans or something that doesn't fit into those other categories. And let's say we have this data and we want to make a plot like this. And to make a plot like this, we're going to have to get all that stuff on the x-axis as a list. And then all the values we're plotting on the y-axis is going to be another list. And we're going to have these two pieces of data as separate lists, so two separate lists. So for example, we'll have a list of categories. And we'll have a list of, it literally is going to be those labels: Black, Hispanic, white, Asian, other. So we'll have that list. So that's going to be a categories list. That's the labels on the x-axis. And then the values, the things that are going to go up the y-axis, needs to be another list, which is the percentage of people in tech companies for each category. And we said Black, there was 4%. And then Hispanic, we said 6%, and then white, and then Asian and other. And that would be a separate list. And then we have these two lists. We can easily plot this data as a bar chart. So that's what this is, by the way. This is a bar chart. Let me actually write that up top. This specifically is called a bar chart. Whoa, that's a fat pen. So we have a bar chart. And we can plot this data using that information using a library in Python. And that library is called Matplotlib. That's a library. And the way you would actually get that to work, and I've already run it on my computer, so it won't be all that helpful for me to try it again. Is it not pasting? It doesn't appear to be pasting. To install it, remember how you installed NumPy and Pillow? So Python or Python 3 -m pip install, and it's Matplotlib. So you go to your folder that has your Python inside of it, and you're going to install Matplotlib using pip. And again, it's the same way we did NumPy and Pillow. If you can't remember how to do that, you can always go to PA5, I think it was, and use it. Let me see if this image will copy over. Nope, not working today. Apparently, replace all link comments. Apparently, you can't copy images out of that. Okay. Again, it's not too different. Oh, sometimes we just cheat. Let's take a screenshot. There we go. So I actually took this screenshot, and I took a screenshot of my screenshot of me installing it. I was inside of my app data local programs. This is where it's installed on my computer. I followed that. I ran the pip command right there, and then it went through and it installed everything. Now, I remember on Mac users, I think you have to be in the bin folder, but on Windows, you just need to be in wherever the folder is so you can install your pip. So make sure you install that library and you'll be all set to run this. So, and I'll save this folder for later so you can do it later if you don't want to do it now. In fact, if you are doing it now or want to do it now because I'm boring to listen to and you'd rather type stuff, there it is in chat. Okay, so I have it installed. So now I can actually do some plotting in Python. So in fact, I'm gonna do it right from idle. It's a library, I have to import it. Matplotlib is the name of the library, but inside there is an object called pyplot. And I wanna use that pyplot. Now, I don't wanna have to type in matplotlib.pyplot every time I wanna plot something. So I'm gonna use an alias called PLT. And now I'll be able to use the PLT to plot things. So we're basically just renaming matplotlib.pyplot to PLT. So that means I just don't have to type in matplotlib.pyplot dot something over and over. I just type PLT dot something. So let's create a couple of lists. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then let's create another list. 10, 30, 70, 20, and 40. Now I have, oops, I forgot my comma. Now I have two lists. I have X and I have Y. And now using plot.bar, remember this is right here, I'm using the alias so I don't have to type this whole thing out. Plot.bar is the method. And I pass it the two lists. I pass it the X-axis, which is the labels, and the Y-axis. So going back to our picture here, the X-axis would be these labels and the Y-axis would be these numbers. And so when I run this though, I just get this little blue text, blue bear container. Don't worry about what that means. That's just something internal to the bar that doesn't mean anything for us. But you notice I ran it, I don't see a bar chart on my screen. In order to see the bar chart, I have to PLT, again, that's my alias, PLT dot show. And now I have a bar chart. And you'll notice if you look at my data, the X-axis, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, there's my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on my X-axis. Those are my labels. And then my Y-axis, you see the value 10 for 1. So you see it matches at 10. 30 for 2, it's up to 30. 70 for 3, there's a 70. 20 for 4, and then 40 for 5. And by the way, I'm pretty sure this uses NumPy and Pillow. So I think you have, if you don't have those installed already, which you should because we've been doing image stuff, you may have problems with it. Okay, but notice it's kind of, missing any kind of information, like what do these numbers mean? What is this chart? So to make this more useful, let me actually, before I show it, let me create my bar again. And then I use PLT, again, my alias, X label. So I'm going to label my X-axis, category of people. And then I'm going to label my Y-axis. And that is going to be the percentage of people. So the category would be Black, Hispanic, white. And the label is the percentage of people at that company of that. So now I have two labels. And then I could give my chart a title. Diversity in tech companies. Now I have a title. And when I show my plot, you see that I now have the category of people listed down here. That was my X label. My percentage of people, that was my Y label. And then my title is diversity in tech companies, and that showed up there. So you can see those labels that I've added, X label here, Y label here, and my title up there. So we can now kind of clean up and make our plots a little more interesting with good data. And any questions about this before we go on to some poll questions? The labels must be strings. Yes, the labels are strings. It requires a string. I don't know how, if you put a number in there, it'll probably break because it's expecting text. See how it's making some kind of text object? It has to be a string for text.